Scorpio, week of May 20th through 26, 2026. Starspoken weekly reading. Scorpio. Something has had its chains around you. And this week, they are breaking. The devil reversed has arrived in your reading, and I want you to feel the full weight of what that means before I say anything else. Because the devil, upright, is one of the most uncomfortable cards in the tarot. It shows two figures, chained, but with chains loose enough to remove if they chose to. They stay not because they cannot leave, but because some part of them has come to need the thing that binds them. Reversed, that card flips. The chains are loosening. The figures are finally looking up. The illusion that kept them in place is beginning to dissolve. And for Scorpio, the sign that understands obsession, that knows how it feels to be held by something you cannot explain to anyone who hasn't experienced it, this is not a small card to receive. This is a liberation. Something has had its grip on you. You know what it is. You may not have named it out loud, not even to yourself, fully, but you know. A pattern, a person, a substance, a way of thinking, a belief about yourself that isn't true but has been operating as if it were. Something that has been pulling energy, pulling attention, pulling you below the surface of your own life for longer than you want to admit. The devil reversed says, this week, something in that grip loosens. On May 20th, the sun enters Gemini, illuminating your 8th house, Scorpio's own house of transformation, shared resources, intimacy, and the hidden dynamics of power. The sun in your 8th house for the next 30 days is not a subtle transit. It is a flashlight in the basement. What has been living in the dark of your most private terrain, your fears, your obsessions, your secret financial arrangements, the sun is going to light all of it up. For most of you, this is less threatening than it sounds. The darkness you've been managing is not as frightening as you've made it in your mind. The sun in the 8th house often reveals that what you thought was a monster was just a shadow, and shadows disappear when the light is directly on them. Mercury in Gemini in your 8th house makes financial and intimate communication unusually clear and direct this week. Conversations about shared money, about sexual needs, about power dynamics in close relationships, these become possible in ways they weren't last week. Jupiter in Cancer in your 9th house is expanding your relationship to meaning, to belief, to the larger story you tell about your life. There is a new understanding forming at the philosophical level, a reframe of your own history that makes it more livable, more purposeful, more yours. Love and relationships. The devil reversed in your love reading, Scorpio, is one of the most significant and potentially liberating cards you can receive. It names something that Scorpio almost never names out loud, the ways in which the intensity of your attachment to someone, whether current or past, has had the quality of something you cannot easily step away from. Scorpio love is not casual. It is total. And the totality of it, which is one of your most profound gifts, can also become a form of captivity. The devil reversed does not say the attachment was wrong. It says the form it has taken, whatever way it has been limiting your freedom, consuming your energy, keeping you from moving forward, is breaking down. Something is releasing this week. For those in relationships, this may look like a breakthrough in a dynamic that has felt stuck. A conversation that releases something. A recognition of a pattern that, once seen clearly, loses its power over both of you. This can be the beginning of a healthier, freer version of a relationship you want to keep, or the beginning of the end of one that has had its time. The devil reversed doesn't prescribe the outcome. It presides over the release. For those who are single, the devil reversed often signals freedom from a past attachment that has been preventing new connection. The person, the relationship, the experience that has been occupying a disproportionate amount of your emotional real estate, something is shifting in your relationship to it this week. Your action step this week: name the thing, to yourself, privately and honestly, that has had the most power over you. Naming it is the first act of liberation. Money and career. Scorpio, the devil reversed in your financial and career reading has a direct and specific message. It's time to break free from a financial pattern that has been keeping you smaller than you are. The devil upright in financial contexts often represents debt, compulsive spending, financial dependence on someone or something that costs more than money, or the sense of being trapped in work that pays but diminishes. Reversed, it signals the beginning of the exit from that pattern. The sun in your 8th house of shared resources brings financial clarity this week, particularly around money that is shared with others. Debt situations, joint accounts, investment partnerships, anything where your finances are entangled with another person's is illuminated right now. Mercury in your 8th house makes this the ideal week for financial renegotiation, for speaking directly about money matters that have been handled indirectly, for addressing debts that have been generating vague dread rather than concrete action. Jupiter in your 9th house brings a philosophical dimension to your financial life this week. Ask yourself, what do I believe about money and what I deserve? The devil reversed often lives in that belief system, the conviction, somewhere beneath consciousness, that you don't deserve abundance. This week, identify that belief. Name it. It is the chain. Health and energy. Scorpio, the devil reversed carries a powerful physical message. The body remembers everything, and this week, it is finally ready to let something go. Scorpio is the sign that holds intensity, holds emotion, holds grudges, holds history. The body of a Scorpio often carries the physical residue of all that holding, tension in the hips, in the pelvis, in the lower back. The areas where old trauma, old anger, old grief has been stored because releasing it felt too dangerous. Movement that involves the hips and lower body, dance, yoga, any form of exercise that gets into the pelvis and lower back, will unlock things that have been locked for a long time. You may find emotion surfacing during physical activity this week. Let it. This is the process working. Scorpio rules the reproductive system and the elimination organs, the parts of the body responsible for release. What needs to be eliminated from your system, physically, emotionally, energetically, is ready to go. Your only job is to stop holding it. Personal growth. Scorpio, the devil reversed is asking you to do the thing that is simultaneously your greatest strength and your greatest challenge. Look directly at the shadow and choose to be free of it. You know your shadows better than any other sign. You have met them, cataloged them, sometimes even befriended them in ways that are uniquely Scorpionic. You are not frightened of the dark, you live there by preference. But even Scorpio can get comfortable in captivity. Even Scorpio can mistake familiarity for safety, intensity for meaning, obsession for depth. The devil reversed this week is asking, are you holding something because it genuinely serves you, or because releasing it would require you to be someone different? Someone who isn't shaped by that particular wound, that particular grievance, that particular way of understanding yourself? The freedom being offered to you this week is the freedom from a particular self-concept. The depth, the perception, the transformational power, the capacity for real intimacy, those stay. Just the part that has been defined by captivity rather than choice. This is deep work. It may not all happen in a single week. But something cracks open this week. And cracks are how the light gets in. Challenges and warnings. The primary challenge of the devil reversed for Scorpio is the seduction of going back. Scorpio knows this pattern, something releases, something lifts, you can feel the freedom, and then the familiar pull returns. The obsession reasserts. The bond tightens again. The old dynamic reestablishes itself through a text, a memory, a trigger that sends you back to the beginning. The devil reversed is not a completed liberation. It is the beginning of one. The chains are loosening, but loose chains can be retightened. This week, the invitation is to not go back. When the familiar pull comes, feel it without following it. Let the wave pass. Watch also for the shadow intensity of the sun in your 8th house, the temptation to probe too deeply too quickly, to push an investigation or a conversation past the point where it's still useful into the territory where it becomes controlling. Finally, with Mercury in your 8th house activating shared financial matters, be especially careful about any money conversation that has an element of power or control to it. Name the dynamic clearly. Don't participate in it. Closing. Scorpio, the devil reversed is one of the great liberation cards, and it has arrived in your reading in a week when the sun is flooding your most private house with light, when Mercury is clearing the air in your deepest financial and intimate spaces, and when Jupiter is expanding your capacity for meaning and understanding. The chains are loosening. Not all the way, not all at once. But this week, you feel the difference. You feel the weight lifting. And you remember, perhaps for the first time in a while, that you were never actually trapped. You were only convinced you were. You are Scorpio. You transform. That is not a metaphor. It is your actual nature, available to you, right now. Your affirmation for this week: I release what has kept me captive. I choose freedom, not from my depth, but from the fear of it. This is your Starspoken reading for the week of May 20th through 26. If the devil reversed named something real, subscribe to Starspoken for your weekly sign reading. And drop a comment. What has had the most power over you lately that you're finally ready to walk away from? You don't have to say what it is, just tell me, does this resonate? Until next week, Scorpio. The chains are already loosening.